Not sure what's going on. I'm hoping this isn't the one I'm here to do.
You'll see you get in the way it opens. But it's obviously the electric to do with that, isn't it?
So it is 10 to 11, just got in from a call out, and one thing I've got to do is I've got to draw dimensions for a side extension that we want to do on our house at the minute. So this is our house at the minute, and we're looking to do a side extension. So let me show you what we've I haven't actually got that measurement to hand. So for those who don't know, I do all my own drawings. So you can see on here I've got, like, exterior wall, partition wall, new wall. It's just a software we use called Arc on Evo. And anyone looking to start out in property development, one of the most annoying things, so I wish I'd done it on the yard, but I never on the yard, and it's similar to everything really. Like, soon as I put something out of my control, it becomes, hard to get hold of someone, hard to get them to do what you want. You spend more time trying to explain it than like them doing it. So maybe I'm just a weirdo, but I put myself on a course for doing drawings, and the company I used was obviously a branch of Arc on Evo. So if anyone's looking to get started doing drawings, then I'd recommend Arc on Evo, because honestly it's so easy to use. Like, you can put stairs, like similar to CAD, but CAD costs thousands a year, and SketchUp, I used to use SketchUp, and SketchUp's free, but only up until a certain time period, or if you start using it for work, you've got to pay. And out of all of them, SketchUp's probably the easiest. However, it goes from being free to costing a lot within a quick sort of period. So one of the issues we've got at the minute is that we can't finish our driveway, which is here. So we've got obviously a driveway in and out, and I want to tarmac this. However, I can't tarmac it because I'd have to dig the tarmac up to do the side extension. So when we bought the house, it had a side extension here with a summer house that went all the way to the back garden. So what we're planning on doing now is we're going to carry on from the porch here along up the front there, and then I'm going to have to zoom out or scroll up. I'm going to come all the way along here, and then we're going to do like a little rectangle here, which is what the neighbour's done. And then we're going to have I'm planning to have, my dreams are when I have enough money and win the lottery, I can have a pool here with sliding doors onto the garden. So we'll have sliding doors into the kitchen like we've got here, and sliding doors into the garden, into a pool area. And it's like I'm just bleeding money at the minute with the yard, and to think, oh yeah, and you're going to bleed money on our house, it's like, it can wait, I'm not madly in a rush for a pool. I've got a membership with David Lloyd, so it's not a necessity. However, I keep getting chased by planning regarding our dormer. So we built the dormer on permitted development, and they're saying, well, someone's complained, so if anyone complains, you've got to prove that it's permitted development, which goes against everything to do with planning. The reason they brought out permitted development was to stop people doing planning applications. However, if someone complains about your extension that's under permitted development, you've then got to do basically lawful development certificate, which is the same as a planning application almost, to prove that it is in fact permitted development. And it all just seems a bit, but then I also get it that someone could, like, I could build an extension on here that wasn't permitted development and just tell the neighbours it was. And I understand that scenario, that, you know, people can do that and the neighbours will go, oh well, you know, they've said it's permitted development, you know. So the only answer to that is the plan, and then put it back on the owner of the property to say, well look, it's up to you to prove that it is permitted development by submitting a lawful development certificate, which the planning then look at and go, yeah, that's fine. But they do it quicker than a planning application, because they have to notify the neighbours and do the same rigmarole that they would with a planning application. So it's a tick box. It's actually one piece of paper that says, goes through the elements that they consider permitted development, and if the planning officer views it and says, yeah, that's permitted development, then you get a certificate to say that what you've retrospectively built or proposed to build is permitted development. So hopefully I'm advising people here that don't make the same mistake that I have. And to be honest, I feel like a lot more people are doing permitted development certificates because they realise that every single neighbour in the world moans and complains about stuff that even if you had planning, they would double check that the planning is... The planning department must be absolutely, you know, backlogged with... No wonder they're backlogged. The amount of emails they must get about stuff that's fine or stuff that's, you know, not worth emailing about, however, you know, time wasters. So at Weston, there's a lot of time wasters who take up the council's time with emails and concerns that probably aren't justified. However, you've got to give people that ability to complain, because there will be genuine concerns that arise that are resolved through this process. However, I feel like most of it would just be, you know, I don't know. And obviously, if I went and spoke to planning and asked them, they'd maybe give me a bit more of an idea. However, I don't know if they would be honest and do it. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully I can share my journey with you, and it will either educate some of you to do or not to make the decisions that I have, and hopefully help the planning department by, you know, if I go through it and say, look, you know, it's worth doing a lawful development certificate for what it costs, that might help the planning department. And if I go through it and go, whatever, you know, you don't need to do this for that, it might help the planning department to be like, you know, we don't have to... Someone might watch this and think, oh, I don't have to apply for that because I don't want to waste their time doing it. But that's just me thinking positively.
While I've got the radio up. So, plan today is skirts and arcs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Scott is finishing the stairs. Did you get that grinder?
Yeah.
Any use?
I'll have a look, yeah.
Try it. I'll give me loads of keys, thank you. Right, I'll meet you over there now. Is what?
Ben here.
Ben's just taking that other tipper. Have you just brought CK? Is that what he needs? Yeah, give them to Ben. He's on the other job. You're doing skirts and arcs.
Yeah.
Scott's doing stairs. Ben and Joe are, not Joe, Tom, taking that scaff, and then they're going to come and do that site clearance, and then they'll be back on here. And you're going to come and dig some footings and get hell off the neighbours, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, it's going to be an enjoyable day, this.
From me, cage fighting guns in the van there, some. I don't know.
Have you got your boxing gloves ready?
Yeah.
Should we take the A-frame Or did we take that to the lock-up? You know, the whiteboard? I've got a whiteboard, haven't I? The A-frame, we could have set that up and been like, no alleyway for a week.
Put penny lane buildings on it. The ring now.
Different builders, yeah. Look at this guy. Like he's working in the office, eh? You got one of them? Bluetooth. You one of them guys who walks down the street shouting. I'm one of them now, but my phone. So here we are. For those that don't know, this is Smithdown Road. So it is obviously famous for students and HMOs. However, it's quite well. I need to word this right so I don't annoy people, but like if I was to change Western into a HMO, they'd all kick off and say, and I'd say, well, where do you want me to do a HMO? And they'd all say, well, why don't you go and do a HMO in Smithdown or something where all the others are? But then we've done them here for 7 years, so we're not, we haven't got the best reputation with the neighbours in the sense, not that like obviously we've done anything wrong in that sense, but obviously people just see our vans and think, oh, another HMO, and obviously no one wants a HMO anywhere. Even Smithdown Road, where it's famous for HMOs, everyone doesn't want any more. So we're now just doing footings for another HMO, which obviously the people have seen the planning application and are obviously kicking off now. So I'm expecting, we went the other day and put the fencing up and we blocked the alleyway off, which didn't used to be an alleyway but has like sort of become an adopted alleyway. We got loads of I'm trying not to swear, loads of unhappy people saying that they now have to walk around the block and it's not on. So I'm expecting probably more of that once we start work today. But yeah, it is one of them, isn't it? It's like no one wants anything near them, and unfortunately all the jobs we seem to do at the minute are ones that people don't like. So I'm just getting it in the ear, everywhere I go at the minute. So it's a bit, but I've half become immune to some of the things, and to be honest, some of them are hilarious, some of the objections. And like there was a woman yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before, and she was like, you can't build a house here, and we're like, why not, there used to be a house, and she was like, well, that was ages ago, and we're like, all right, so how long do you have to wait before you're not allowed to rebuild the house? And then obviously talking about the alleyway, and there never used to be an alleyway there, so you feel like you're just saying well, you've had use of it for a while, and then actually we're putting it back in, which they didn't have to. But just been one of those weeks where I don't know what to do, or I don't know how much I can say on YouTube either. So, but again, I'm happy to learn, even if it's the hard way, by just being honest and saying what we're going through. And if I end up in court and they turn around and say you're wrong, then I'll have to obviously suffer the consequences. But I suppose that's the learning curve I'm willing to go down, I suppose, because otherwise, at the moment I'm getting solicitors letters threatening court over one of the houses we've done. So I say I'm not allowed to, I don't know if I am, I don't know what I'm allowed to say or tell you, but yeah, I'll try and just be honest without telling too much, or anything I can tell obviously is factual and or my opinion, say. But yeah, don't need it, and you don't know whether they're empty threats or whether obviously everyone who goes to court thinks that they're right and the other side think they're right, so that's how you end up in court. But hopefully we don't end up in court and we can resolve things amicably. So, knackered today. Yeah, stay tuned. Look at this, how professional we are now. Hey, proper YouTubers. That, and then that'll screw in, won't it? Time-lapse camera. So what we're going to do today is mark out, and we're going to cut the tarmac, put it in a pile, and obviously try and dig the footings for this. It's only a small one, this. It's literally here to there, along and then back in, so imagine the extension would be in. I don't know whether that wall's going to come down, you know, I'll have to check. The garden wall between the two, because obviously he owns next door.
Does he own that?
Yeah. Let me check. So you can see what we're doing now is marking out obviously where we're going to cut away. So I had a little guess, wasn't far out, was I? But
Guesstimate.
we've just done it with the laser measure then, and then Nick's put his chalk line down. So that's going to be the brick wall. So let me show you. That's going to be the brick wall. So if that's the actual brick here, then we're going to be, the footing needs to be 15 centimeters bigger. So let's go 20 with the footing, yeah. Just so it gives us a bit of space with the digger. Or actually, let me measure my digger and go, all right, well, I've got 600 with the digger, so we're better doing it 600 rather than too big. And the bucket I've got on the digger is 600, so it won't be, well, you can do it there, and then you won't know how you got it square there though, will you? Eh? No, it's not square, the house.
Same measure. Got it taped. Look at the measurement.
So all you've got to do is go to this. So if you get level with that one, so you can run your laser or your string line level with this extension.
As you're coming out
and
back
then,
here, is it?
Yeah, so it's basically the extension's the same as that. So it's like,
There'll be a single on the back.
Yeah, but obviously it won't be an extension, it'll just be part of the house as we build it. Because otherwise you've got no reference to come square off unless you went square off that house. So we could.
For this length?
Yeah, it's on the plan.
You get the measurement for the length, we can sort of get a rough idea.
But look, if we go a bit bigger with the footings, it gives us that room to.
Wiggle room. I normally go 150, I always do 2.
So we're gonna measure these out. We're gonna cut obviously the tarmac out, and then obviously we'll be left with just the footings that we've got to dig, and then get building legs out before we concrete it. That's the plan. Yeah. So we're doing obviously the builder's yard in Garston, and at the moment, you know, I was waiting on planning permission, and obviously I'd got in touch with them about health and safety, and they were like, well, we're more the health and safety side once it's up and running. But I said, look, you know, I'm looking to start using it as is currently while I'm waiting for the planning. So is there anything I need to put in place health and safety wise, like, you know? And he said obviously that's where he'd pass you my number to see, you know, the actual building process, and then obviously once it's built, that's when they'll come in and do the fire risk assessment and etc. The running of it. Is that right?
Well, yes, they do health and safety. I do health and safety, but I concentrate more on construction.
Yeah.
So when you say you want to use it, what
so
are you doing?
yeah, just for storage.
The material at the moment?
So at the minute it's just hardcore, it's just flat hardcore. But I'm like paying storage elsewhere. So while I'm waiting on planning, which could take, I don't know how long that's going to take,
I just want to obviously start putting my scaffolding there and like some of my trailers and stuff like that. So I don't know ever how deep I need to go into the health and safety just to obviously store stuff there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because I mean, like, you have to consider welfare, won't you?
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do you have to consider your welfare.
So at the minute we've got water there, we've got electric. So I've got a site toilet, but I need to have hot water, don't I? That's one of the.
So you could just basically do with a site inspection, really, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And in that site inspection, I could just tell you what it is that you need.
Okay.
That sounds all right. And then I can.
And then obviously once we get the planning through, it'll be the actual construction phase then.
Okay.
Of the different stages, anything we need to have in place.
You'll be the client, won't you?
Yeah.
So therefore, as part of your responsibilities as a CDM, you've got to do your own. You've got to make sure that your principal contractor is doing what they should expect.
So I'm the client and principal contractor.
Right, okay. And you get someone else to do architect or about your plans.
Yeah, someone's done the plans for us, yeah.
Okay. So you'll probably need health and safety support during the construction phase.
Yeah.
So I'll initially come in to make sure that you are compliant with regards to what you want to use it for at the moment, and then I'll leave it to you to give me a shout when you are able to mobilise, and then I'll just come in and throughout the project and do site visits for you, make sure that you
sounds good. So
what's expected of you.
Yeah, it's just to make sure that we're not missing something, or because the neighbours are ringing health and safety every time we're there. So
the neighbours are ringing health and safety every time you're there.
Yeah. So long story short, it's been a builder's yard for 30-40 years. However, it's been like left there. The fella passed away and sold it on, and
right.
It's been sort of left for a bit, and so for like 15 years. So some of the neighbours have moved in, and it's been like bushes. And obviously now I've bought it and I'm going to put it back as a builder's yard. They're all kicking off, so they're trying to make it obviously as difficult as they can for me.
Okay. Well, let's do it properly then.
So I have had health and safety out, and they've said, look, everything's fine. Just make sure you've got your face fit certificates and whatever else when you come to actually doing stuff on it.
Sorry, say that again. The
So-
health and safety been out and said you need your what certificate?
Face fit.
Face fit.
Yeah.
I mean that's for when you're going to be cutting into and mixing cement.
That's what they said. So if you start building on it, or whatever, I've got them, to be fair. So I've ticked that box anyway now. But yeah, it's just obviously having a visit to see, what we need, what we're missing.
Okay. I'll give you another ring if that's all right, Andy. Yeah. And I'll give you the date I can come out.
Sound?
I'm away this weekend, so hopefully get some nice weather. So when I get back next week, I'll give you another tinkle and come out.
Okay.
And visit you.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, thanks for your call.
All right,
I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
So I don't even see. I've just pulled up to the call out and not sure what's going on. I'm hoping this isn't the one I'm here to do.
Get in the way it opens. But it's obviously the electric to do with that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just
So you just want me to disconnect this and put the power back on?
Yeah, basically they need the power back on, so it needs making safe, mate. The
Okay.
system needs making safe. Like I say, our policy is we just isolate. We don't look to the distant circuit. So unfortunately, it's panic stations at first, because when we knew it was electric, you're isolated, but then it knocks the oxygen off.
Yeah. Okay.
So
quicker the better.
Put it on temporary while he got on temporary oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So once he's on temporary oxygen, then we could isolate the electric. So what we need you to do now basically is just make it safe, mate.
Oh yeah, dead easy, come.
Yeah.
I'll crack on.
Yeah, so cheers, mate.
First thing to do is, obviously they're telling me they've isolated this. However, what I'm going to do is test it myself. And supply, so I don't get my proofing unit really, but as we're in a rush, so obviously we just got continuity, but no voltage. I'll just test that between all of them. So if we have got that, obviously it might be in, because I've got the switch in the stuck in the on position. So
The actual fire then?
on the element of the water heater. So I'm just going to test. I've isolated the water heater, which is here. So what I'm going to do is take this off. So turn this off. I mean, I can turn it all off there as well, which is handy. Not many people have that. So capping it off. So these three are, let me have a look. Well, according to the board, those three are permanently on, not protected by an RCD. So maybe that's why it's not tripped. So the water heater lights. So normally what you get with these is you'll have like your alarm system on this, so its mains on, so if someone trips like an RCD, house alarm doesn't go off. However, I don't know when they used to do this, but I've seen a few of these where they've got obviously these on that don't trip basically. So that's obviously what's led to the fire, that it's just not tripped. It's not tripped out. You'd expect it, obviously, the overload to have tripped. However, that hasn't for whatever reason. So obviously, before we do anything, I'm going to test that my sticks work. So it would go through the voltages and it'll tell me that it's all working. So 600, 400, 300, 230. Yep, all good. So I know that these work. So these are telling me that obviously, you know, that something isn't live basically. So we have isolated the whole board, so everything is off. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect it up to my meter, well, my multi-function tester, and look at my wires, these should be a bit less tangled. And then I'll go through and explain to them what's happened and why. Oh no. Oh, I can see me things run out of battery. Oh no. What's the odds of that? Why's that happened? Oh, electricians ran out of bloody battery. Typical. So we're back up and running. We've got battery for now, so let's crack on. So obviously I've disconnected it upstairs, and this cable just goes straight to the water heater because it's on a radial. So what I'm now going to do is test. I'll go continuity between, well, we shouldn't have any to be fair. So I want this to come back, yep, greater than that. So that means there's I don't even see that. That means the resistance between these two wires is, you know, infinite. Well, more than 2000 ohms, which is obviously a lot. And then we'll do between live and if, same, and then we'll do if and same. So that means now I know that none of these wires are touching, so none of them are melted together. So I should be able to also do an insulation resistance test. So what this does is this will send 500 volts through, and it'll measure if there's any, you know, voltage between these two, and it'll give me obviously the resistance for that. And obviously we want the resistance between live and neutral, where the two wires are separate, to be infinite again, because we don't want them to be touching. So this is measuring if the fire has damaged any of the insulation around the copper, because we don't want this copper touching that copper. That's what will cause a fire. So we want this to be greater than 999. Great. And then we do live to earth, and again we want that to be infinite, and then we can do earth to neutral. Great. So I know now I can blank this off and connect it, put all the power back on, and everything will be safe. And I'm just going to recommend to them that explain how their board works and how old it is and how much better the new boards are now. And it would have it's mad to think that they could have put something in place here that would have stopped, obviously, well, not 100%, but would have made it highly unlikely that the fire would have got this far. Right, let's connect this back up, and I'm going to go and fit a new switch at the top. Let's go. So this is the bit that's actually caught fire. So see there? So at some point, if I just show you obviously your board, how it works. Obviously your mains comes in there, goes through your meter and goes to this switch. So this switch turns the whole board off, yeah? That one.
Right.
And then obviously that's your main switch, which the fire brigade has just turned off.
Oh, right.
And then that controls, see these, so see underneath the ones in red, that sticker that's red.
Yeah.
So it says on it, for all these circuits, total load not to exceed, these circuits are not protected by RCD. So this RCD here is what trips in the event of like an electric shock or a fault. No, so these ones do the overcurrent. So the one that's off now is the immersion heater. However, I've tested it, the cable's fine. I've put a new cover on it.
Right.
But obviously just leave that off for now.
Yeah.
Until you get a new immersion heater or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But obviously boards have changed quite a lot since this one. So I'd recommend you upgrade your board, because that would have potentially stopped that from.
Oh, would it?
Yeah. So they have new systems now within these that would have tripped before obviously the event of a fire. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
and didn't you have one yourself to do now?
What?
Didn't you have one that you could have done?
One
of them?
A board?
Upgrade?
Well, no, we could do it for you, but I haven't got one now. No, no, it's like it takes like about 3-4 hours maybe to do a board change. Okay. But your water heater isn't on the protection that trips in the event of a fault. It's only got overload protection, which I'm not sure why that hasn't tripped. Because even that should have tripped. But obviously now they do sort of arc fault protection, which is if you get any sort of connection that could start a fire, it'll trip. You've got surge protection, you've got RCBOs, which bring each individual one, so that at the moment if this trips, these 3 will trip.
Oh, nice.
So if you plug something in to your sockets, your cooker and shower will also trip. Whereas if you get a new board, you can separate them so that only that one trips. So it's less inconvenient if it does. So if that was the case, if you had one of those boards, this one would have tripped and everything else would have stayed on. So you would have had oxygen and so yeah, I hope I've explained that.
I'll be like, that was
enough. It gets a bit complicated if I start saying.
Does it that lift up, does it?
Yeah, so obviously this one now, that's on now, but
Yeah.
there's nothing connected to it.
No. Yeah.
So obviously just leave that one off.
So if something does trip, a light trips.
So if like say you're on here sockets, let's just say the socket strips.
Yeah.
That means that you've plugged something in that is using too much power.
Yeah.
Than it's meant to.
Yeah.
So what you do then is you go around, unplug everything, put that back on. If it comes back on, and then as you plug stuff in and use it, if it trips, you know it's that whatever you've plugged in. If the same again with this one. So this one measures the difference between live and neutral. So what comes in live comes back through neutral. If there's any difference between them, it means it's gone somewhere else, potentially a human. So it'll trip.
Oh, nice, yeah. So
Because it's red. It's red. So that's your electric shock protection. You're on the ball, aren't you? So that is RCD is your residual current device. That's your electric shock protection. And these just protect your cables in the wall.
Yeah, right.
Nothing else really. So this is permanently on. Yeah. Which is you don't really want that.
What? Oh, go on.
Normally, the only things that sometimes are in these are like the house alarm.
What's going on? We'll move all that. Go on. Thanks.
But yeah, all done. It's obviously back on safe for now.
Yeah.
And but I'd say I'd look at upgrading it.
Yeah. How much is that? I don't know.
Have a look. They're normally about $450. So what I always tell people is have a look on Checker Trade because they do like national jobs and they have like a database of all the jobs they've priced and what they've cost. So it gives you a good idea that you're not getting you're not getting ripped off. But I think last time I looked, it's about $450 depending on what board. So arc fault protection is I say new. It's fairly new in the sense that they're trialing it out with HMOs and housing associations, like high risk environments. So yours would be classed as a not a lot, but it's like more risk of fire. But or where it's like the people inside are would be protected by that more, if that makes sense. So arc things, I think they're up to about £150 per one. So that it depends which type of board you get. But I definitely recommend getting RCBOs, which is the ones I say where they're all individually. So rather than that RCD being serving the whole board, it just does one. And then the next one's got its own, and then they've come right down in price now. They're only like a few more pound than them.
Write that down. What RCBO did you say?
Yeah, I'll write it all down for you.
I will, yeah. So
But if you get a new board, anyone who comes to fit it, if you fit a new board now, you have to do surge protection, and you have to upgrade it to the new standards. So they'll all know this anyway. If you know what I mean. But if you request RCBOs, it's the price of them will come down, the more reasonable. But I'll write it all down for you now. So we're on, I think they don't own this one, but they've signed like a big long lease with it. So they've took it over, they're going to do it up with the potential to either buy it, or I think they've just done a really long lease on it. So what had happened? Just
the fellow was doing the bathroom.
Just lashed it all out.
This was
the skip.
The rubbish chute.
Double labour. We hate double labour. It's the worst. And just trying to get it on then, isn't it? How far are we going though? Just that? What about all this? He's saying that's been there for like 10 years, the car. You what? He wants to get rid of that as well. Anyone want a car? Let me know. What is it? A Jeep something. Anyone wants a Jeep for free? Or you can donate to our charity. You could scrap it maybe. I'll message me mate who's got the scrapyard and see how much we'd get for a Jeep. So literally clearing the whole thing, yeah? Are they trying to get it usable again or something?
No, I think one of the shop people fire hazard and that, so...
Oh yeah, true. Right, sound. As you can probably tell by the noise, we're back on this job, so I might take that to the yard actually. Yeah, we'll do. So Ben's just took one of the tippers. I'll go and grab that and we can go and dump that at the yard. The petrol whizzer is 2-stroke, which means obviously you've got to put the oil in. Luckily, still do a little pocket shot, which this much oil is the right amount for obviously a 5-litre can. So that's maybe where this double view isn't as good, because you get a close up of my big grid then. So there we go. Squeeze all that in. Give that a shake, and then I can top the whizzer up. I think Nick's just gone to get the water can for it. So one thing I regret when I bought this digger was obviously I just wanted to get it as cheap as possible. However, now I'm in the process of, you know, pricing up the dumper, and I'm literally getting every attachment possible on it because I'm quick hitch. So I didn't get a quick hitch on this, and I do regret it, because now I've got to, I mean, it doesn't take that long really, and to be honest, most of the time we keep this head on it, so but yeah, definitely I might, when I order the dumper, it's from the same company, I might order like quick hitch and spare tracks and some bits for this, and maybe maybe a breaker for this as well. But yeah, let's get this swapped. You'll like this. I just knocked next door and asked for a bucket of water, and she said no, she's on a water meter for a bucket of water. So I said, I'll give you £1. And she said no. Yeah, that one. I'll give you a bucket of water. She said, on a meter. I can't. That'll do for you. No, he owns that, so he's paying the meter on that. But I've already got one off them. I feel bad just to use the whizzer. So we're going to take all the wall hardcore that we pulled up back to the yard. However, if we take these cages off, we can get more weight on the tipper, so we can carry more legally. Yeah, so they just lift off. Yeah, let me try and do this. Let me try and do one of these. Ready? Yeah, you'll have to move out the way, because I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So on the yard, and first time you've been here, innit? What do you reckon? What's your first impressions?
Potential.
Yeah.
Potential.
There's our little electric and water in there, and I've just put the CCTV just on the sockets and that. So drop this down, and okay, but you can't get much better recycling, can you? Than you alright? Oh, yeah. So we've just been in the yard and tipped some bricks, and one of the neighbours from the nursery next door obviously come out and just said, you know, be careful, you know, they don't want too much going down the embankments because they've got the brand new football pitch. And then she also mentioned that, you know, since we've cleared the bushes off our site, the very bottom has started flooding, and obviously I don't think the trees absorb that much rain, and we have had record rain. So obviously I was just chatting to her and going through if there's anything we can do to sort of help, and I was thinking, well, if we do get a mains connection, that will take all the water away, because realistically our whole site is going to be concreted, and the rain's going to have to go somewhere. So I didn't know, but there is a stream at the back there, so that's one way we could do a soak away to the stream. But yeah, we'll see. I think the cost of doing the mains is just staggering. me answer this. Tip number 2 at the yard. Say, good recycling this. Yeah, press this, Dave. I'll be the cameraman. Da-da-da-da-da. And then just drive forward a little bit. Have you put it in gear? Put your foot on the brake and then put it into D. Yeah, stop there and just grab them last ones. Always happens that something falls down that little gap. Damaging the lights, so that's why they've got a cage on them. But yeah, drop it down. Sweet this. Sure, every time I answer the phone I'm going position, and the answer, and you're like
That means you got the manage, lad. You know the song.
yeah, that's bumpy here, isn't it?
Really knows us.
Hi, Andy, you okay?
Hi mate, you right? I just seen your email about the charity, so we can't call it that. Why is that?
Because basically, so in order to be called the same name, founder, builders, merchants have to own it, if that makes sense. But it doesn't make sense to have chocolate because it would just cost you more money. So all we need to do is just call it Founder Builders Community, for example.
Bowden Builders Charity.
Anything.
Oh, just call it that then. Bowden Builders Charity.
Yeah, that's possible.
All right.
Couldn't see that. Just because it's the same name, but that's fine. I'll get that. I'll get it all sorted for you then.
All right. Cheers.
Alright, no worries, Andy. Cheers, Andy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.
It's weird, isn't it? So we're setting a charity up for obviously the money from the YouTube to go in to try and buy a house. And he said that we can't call it Bowden Builders Merchants Charity because it's the same as Bowden Builders Merchants Limited. Or I don't know. So we called it Bowden Builders Charity.
So there's sort of one the merchants out of it, and it's exactly.
Or he said we could call it Bowden Builders Merchants Charity because it's a different. It's like, okay.
Who doesn't love getting parcels? So, I'd almost took all the stickers off with my address on because I keep doing that. Apparently, it's what is that? What on earth is this? Oh, I know what it is. This is a spanner for getting behind the sinks easier. So I bought 2 of them to put in the call-out van and 1 in the other van. Rachel's going to come in and be fuming. There's rubbish on the side. She's just tidied this porch. So here we go. Oh, that's not as exciting. This one is, what is this? Oh, again, not as exciting. Some fans I've ordered for one of the jobs. This one, hopefully, is more. I'm waiting for the alarm for the yard. I hope this is it. No, these are the spare taps I ordered for the call out. So yeah, not as exciting. So they got delivered, so just wondering if there's another one. No. Go on.
Then it goes into a boot.
Under Armour for this cap. Hey, I can only fuck.
You got an Under Armour cap, yeah?
Listen to this. Like, the fella goes into a bruiser and he sees this the other guy and he's got a problem. He goes, fucking hate that. He fucking sparks him. The fella goes bang on the floor. He goes, when he wakes up, tell him that was a Shota camp karate punch in 1974. And he gets off. The next day, the fella gets up. He comes back. He has an iron bar in his hand. And he sees him, he goes, that's it. He smashes him with the bar. He goes, when he wakes up, tell him that was a 1974 Nissan Chrysler. He said, starting angle.
What were you saying? Have you met this fella, this AJ Owens? Do you know him, do you? Our boss?
No. Oh, I might have met him because usually when I come past somebody says, I it's usually him.
Yeah. But he's is he?
Tell you what, man, it's fucking Robert. I was on the telly this morning, sitting there watching it, and I just don't know. Everybody thinks they're great, but it's not my cup of tea at all.
Who's that? Who?
Coldplay.
Coldplay? Not a fan?
You know what, they're like another boy band, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh.
Have a good day, lads.
And you, mate, have a good one. Right, let's get the other stuff off and I'll get this digger off. Oh, it's never a dull day, is there, lad? 8 o'clock and already. That joke was crap, though. Yeah. You know when it's summer now, hey? It's not even, what is it, 9 o'clock and he's got his top off already. But as you can see, we've dug this, and then what the lads have been doing is just going down the sides and knocking, obviously keeping it nice and square. And then what we'll do is we'll scrape it all out, so we want it down to that grey hard ground basically. But what we've been pulling out has been thick clay. Like, you can't even, look at that, I can't even make a dent in that. Look at that, eh? Bloody hell, that's as hard as I can pinch that. Not moving, is it? That's why the digger was struggling. I think I've had clay that thick. Yeah, so we've just got this bit left to do, and then the building inspector's booked in for 1 o'clock, and then concrete for the afternoons for 2 o'clock. So fingers crossed, end of the day, this will be concreted level. So I'm just going to do a call out now, and then I'll be back. And what we're going to do is, once it's all out level, we're going to peg it. Well, I'm going to say 5, 6. 5 or 6, we'll work it out in a bit. Linear message. I'll be back in a bit. If you don't mind me filming this one. Which one is it? Because you like ornaments, don't you?
I haven't tidied up yet in the window.
Oh, that one, that side?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look.
See, when I got the plug done for the hot tub,
Yeah.
and then this had gone off, and the man tested, he said there is power there, but he didn't have time to fix it.
Okay, so he's tested. Do you know where?
No, if it works.
Let's have a look.
Can you get in? I can put that on.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So I don't know if there is any or not. Yeah, I'll get a brush. It's that been here that long, you see.
Let's test this. Yeah, so you've got power to it. So it looks like it's just the socket's gone. So I'll go and get you a new socket if you want. And
So,
there you go, you've got power.
oh, good.
So don't brush it out yet. I'll put a new socket on it.
So how much will that be?
The socket, I think they're like £10-15
How
in
much is
Screwfix.
it altogether?
It's 180 plus whatever the socket is.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll see if I've got one in my van. If not, I'll just run to Screwfix and get one. One thing I wasn't sure if I had, and I've got one. So, let's swap this over now and back to the job. One thing I need to show you on here is what some people do. So, see, someone's put this in and tightened it onto the insulation, and luckily they've obviously gone through to the insulation. Now, this could have been why it wasn't working. However, the socket's also knackered, so obviously we're going to swap it anyway, otherwise even if us was to fix it now, it might only last a little bit longer, so we'll put a new one on. So let me see if I can do this thing. There you go. All done. Let's pack up and go. Oh, feel drained after that, do you? We've done all that. So obviously you can see here, this is all hard ground here. Obviously you've got sand, a bit of soil, and then what, like 30-40 centimetres of clay, and then we've hit like a different clay that's like even harder than that clay. And so the building inspector come and was like, yeah, all good. And then we got to this corner and he noticed the colour of that clay and said, oh, one sec, he said they went through a spell of backfilling jobs with this colour clay, and he said it goes this colour because of metals or something in it, so obviously it's been laid down afterwards. So they used to do that and then chuck a load of clay on top to spread the load. And he was like, oh, just obviously get the spade and like just check all that. And there's the owner ringing me, about to break the bad news to him. Hiya mate, you alright?
Have I missed you? Sorry lad.
Yeah, bad news.
Oh no.
It needs piling.
Oh.
And not only that, but because it's a new build, yeah, so I don't know if you can see that where we've so we hit hard ground all the way here, all solid clay.
Yeah.
And then the building inspector was like, oh no, actually you seen like the colour of the clay in this corner where it goes like to a grey, see there?
Oh.
And he said, oh, so he said everything above that is fine. He said that grey indicates it's been backfilled.
Oh.
So then he was like, you need to break through that grey clay and there'll be crap underneath. And sure enough, we've gone like nearly 2 meters down, and we've just hit, like, you know, loads of crap. And then this end we actually hit the pipe. So obviously we thought we did hard ground here, but then we went another 20 centimeters and found the soil pipe.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to need piling, but that's not the worst bit. The worst bit is, you know, obviously on the plans you've had past that the shape's in like a U shape.
What do you mean in a U shape?
A U shape. So obviously you've got the existing house next door.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're going to come off that wall, come down the side, and then come back into that wall. He said no, you've got to build it as a detached house.
Detached?
Yeah, so it can be connected to the next doors, but all the walls, all the U values, all the calculations have to be done as a detached house. So we'd have to dig another trench next to the wall of the house next door and build a wall next to their wall.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I said that's not going to work because we're going to lose 300 mil off the width for the inside.
Yeah, it's already too narrow as it is anyway.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, let me obviously get back to you and we'll see.
What are you saying? Is there any way around that?
He said the only way around it is if you get a structural engineer to sign it off. Basically, you need to get someone to put their liability insurance on it, so the building regs can obviously. But literally all that is clay. So all that is like clay we've dug out that we thought we've hit hard ground here. And then, like I say, just found that bit that was like, I didn't know that, to be fair.
Learn something new every day, like.
Yeah. And I didn't know that if you build a new build, it's got to be totally detached from any other house.
Make it so hard, mate. You know, like,
Obviously you laugh about it, but like...
Yeah, there's a chance you won't build this now.
Yeah, so
It's just not viable.
They just lost their house. You know what I mean? And it's like people wonder why we've got like a house short.
Yeah. Well, sorry for the bad news, but yeah, it's going to need piling, which I imagine would be about £6,000 to pile it, because it'll need piles in the whole way round as if it's detached. And also you need to lose 300mm off the width for the inside, which is already tight.
Which is already tight, exactly.
Yeah. Why don't you turn it into a sunbed shop, like we've been telling everyone it is?
You know, man.
Do you know what you could do? Why don't you make it like a garage? Storage.
We haven't got the permission to put it up.
Ah, well, surely you could put planning permission in for a garage. And at least...
I know, but I'm already in the hole for
yeah.
like... You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is doable, but maybe go back and ask for that meter on the side.
Yeah, what, to lose the alleyway?
Yeah.
But I don't see how that... I mean, it's going to require like another planning permission.
Yeah.
More money, more this, more that. I'm already probably... What? Well, I'm already probably about £5,000 in on fees. More probably, because I paid to discharge £6,500 on fees.
Yeah.
Plus now we pay for that hoarding, obviously the work that the lads have done, blah blah blah.
I'll have to cancel the concrete.
Set fire money. Fair enough. Yeah, what do you want? Are you going to cancel the concrete then?
Yeah, we'll have to, yeah.
I don't know what to do, lad. Do you know a structural engineer who might be able to help us out?
I'm trying to think if anyone in my school was one, because obviously we don't really use that many of them because we don't do anything that's substantial enough.
No.
Obviously we use that company for the steels, individual steels. That's mostly what we do. So I've not actually used many, and then the ones I have been like, you know, hard work.
Yeah.
Come out and be like, ooh, big job,
Yeah. Alright, sound. Let's have a think about it then.
So obviously, I mean, you've got the hoarding up, so it's all safe and...
Yeah. Yeah.
If it was me, I'd go back for planning to make it the wider one.
I know, they're just not going to approve it, that's the thing.
But maybe speak to Darren, because he might be able to do like an amendment rather than a new app.
Yeah.
And also he said that for building regs to count, you've got to do 15% of the build within 3 years. So you've started it now, which is good, because it's on record. But he said they're clamping down on people who buy plots of land and get planning and then wait till 3 years and then put a building regs application in. And he said the idea of the 3 years you've got to build whatever it is on the building reg side is because, you know, if you've got a huge house or like a huge development, you know, they give you that 3 years cushion, whereas obviously the smaller ones, like this one for example, he's like, you know, it should be done sort of relatively quickly, but
I know, but you can't really. Well, anyway,
so
that's
you've got 3 years. You've got 3 years from now to build 15% of it.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Also, who decides 15%?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
15% what, metre squared, like price, 15% of, you know.
That's what I'm saying. So the only thing is, building control want me to send another 200. Oh, in fact, I sent the money anyway. I paid it. I've just paid it.
I told you should have done a notice.
I did do a notice. It is still a notice.
Yeah.
It was a notice, mate.
But I didn't know that rule about new builds. Like, even if it's an extension, even if you're rebuilding a house that's a semi. So if you rebuild a semi that's caught fire and fell down, you have to do it as a detached. That doesn't sound right to me, but they're the new regs, he said.
Mental. Alright, do you want to have a think about it then? So I'll email Darren and I'll just say, look, this is what we've encountered.
Any chance you can amend them to widen them?
So it means that we're going to lose on that internal, like, party wall. We're going to lose another 300 mil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right the way along.
Yeah.
Fine.
So that's what I'd do. I mean, lose 300 mil there, gain 1100 the other side.
Exactly, yeah.
That way, you know, it's a positive. It's just, you know what, a bit more money now to... I say it's all a gamble, isn't it? It's all a gamble that the planner might say no, and then you just put more money into it.
That's the thing, yeah. And there's no... Or can you also, lad, have a think about structural engineers? Like, have a think.
Yeah.
Maybe speak to that company who do the steels, because they're them, won't they?
I've got a mate in school who's one, so let me ask him.
You know, like, he might... Yeah. You can just like, ask him the question almost.
Yeah, because he might be like, oh yeah, semi, yeah, don't worry about it, we'll, you know. Or it might be like, oh yeah, you know, I've had this before,
exactly.
And yeah, it's definitely needs doing.
Exactly, because that would then makes it then all right again, doesn't it? You know what I mean? If one of them signs it off, that's our best.
Yeah.
That's our
number
best
one
thing. Obviously, then it needs piling. You think $6,000?
Well, I can buy a piler machine for $5,000.
Right.
So maybe, and then I've got to do my sister's extension that needs piling, so maybe I just go offs and, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Save you money and put towards actually owning one.
Get you, because it'll always come in handy.
Yeah.
You've got the yard, haven't you? So you can just.
Oh yeah, the yard needs piling. My sister's needs piling. This one needs piling.
Like crewing equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, that might be an option then, hey?
Yeah.
So, go on then. Abandon for now then, and
yeah, we're just gonna lock it all up so it's safe and. Yeah. Sam, I'll let you know when I spoke to my mate from school. I'll ring him now and see what he says.
See what he says. All right, try and get a positive result. All right, mate. I appreciate your help.
No worries, come. I'll speak to you in a bit.
Bye.
Well, never nice delivering bad news like this. However, this is why everyone goes on about getting out the ground, as you know, that saying of it's shit. But you've just heard that, you know, I've got a couple of jobs coming up that need piling, and I've already inquired about getting a piling machine, so maybe it's time. There's money. It'd be great if I had loads of money coming in and none going out.
What's this going to be?
It's a sunbed shop. Sunbed shop for ex-criminals only.